The Gulf of Mexico oil spill.
Key facts. On April 22, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon, owned by Transocean, exploded, burned, and sank in the Gulf of Mexico. This led to an estimated 3.19 million barrels of oil spilling into the Gulf for 87 days. 11 out of 126 workers on the oil rig were killed, and this led to lawsuits of about $20.8 billion against the oil companies.
These missteps could have been prevented by BP, but carelessness of engineers and workers caused a large disaster to occur in the Gulf of Mexico. Crew members failed to notice gas leakage into the well during the detachment procedure because they misread the results of pressure checks.
Environmental impact. This raises ethical concerns regarding the duty to protect the environment and minimize harm. Human health and safety. The face ethical dilemmas related to prioritizing and ensuring safety of the employees and residents. Accountability. The response and communication during the incident, including the extent of disclosure, timely reporting, and taking responsibility, can raise ethical questions about honesty. Negligence. Failing to take precautions may violate clauses related to professional responsibility. Environmental responsibility. Failing to prevent environmental harm could breach the clause concerning the environmental preservation. Practitioners' duty to public welfare. Neglecting the safety of workers may affect a clause that emphasizes the protection of public health. Alternative options. Immediate, contaminate, and cleanup. Prioritize deploying resources to contain the spill quickly. Transparent communication, ensuring honest and communication about the spill, its causes, and ongoing efforts to build trust. Collaboration and compensation. Collaborate with effective communities and environmental organizations to develop the implement of long-term restoration plans. Ethical analysis of each option. Immediate, contaminate, and cleanup. Prioritizing environmental protection and minimizing harm to the ecosystem and human health. Transparent communication. It can comply with causes and emphasizing transparency and professionalism in dealing with stakeholders and the public. Collaboration and compensation. It can help meet ethical applications by adjusting the harm caused. Final decision is to prioritize open and transparent communication with stakeholders, providing timely and accurate information about the spill, its causes, and ongoing cleanup efforts. Collaborate with effective communities, environmental organizations, and government agencies to develop a comprehensive restoration plan.
Legal concept. In the case of where an oil spill were to occur in the Canadian region of Lake Ontario, the main legal concept that concerns this case would be environmental law. To explain in all of Canada, including the province of Ontario, lakes are protected as well as conserved under federal environmental laws. Legal precedents. Case number 1. In 2013, a timber resource providing company called Irving Pulp and Paper was involved in a lawsuit against them for $3.5 million in pollution charges, where the company was found to have caused a discharge and spill of effluent into the fish-bearing St. John River. Case number 2. In 2004, a Canadian petroleum company called Imperial Oil had an effluent hydrocarbon discharge from its refinery into the St. Clair River and was fined $300,000 as a result. Legal principles. The first legal principle would be strict liability. This principle underlies that regardless of who is guilty or who is careless, a person or entity may be held legally accountable for the harms brought on by an oil spill. The second legal principle would be proportionality of liability. The goal of this principle is to determine who is responsible and for what damages, by determining the degree of each party's fault involvement in the case. The third legal principle would be duty of care. The principle desires both individuals and groups to act in a way that prevents harm to other people or the environment that is reasonably foreseeable. Who are the parties involved? Plaintiff. The plaintiff in this case would be an environmental government department either at a provincial or federal level, such as the Ontario Ministry of the Environment or Environment and Climate Change Canada. Defendant. The defendant in this case would be the company or corporation that caused and was responsible for the oil spill. To be specific, oil spills are caused by oil refining companies as well as oil and gas transportation companies. Time limitations. Under Ontario provincial laws, spills have to be notified to the appropriate authorities like the Canadian Coast Guard or Ontario Ministry of Environment within 24 hours of the actual spill. Ontario's Ministry of Environment does not give a certain timeline requirement to the oil spill cleanup. However, they do monitor the progress to make sure that the best efforts are being made to restore a healthy environment as quickly as possible.
Applying the legal principles. Applying the first legal principle, strict liability, we can say that the two companies are solely responsible for the damage caused to the environment, as it is the duty of the company to ensure that such activity is done under strict laws to avoid any mishaps. The second legal principle is proportional liability. This proves that who is responsible for the damage done and who will pay for the damage caused. In this case, both companies are blamed for as environmental laws are broken. In the third case, the companies will act to prevent such acts from taking place again. In the case of Imperial Oil, there is a court hearing and there's no evidence to prove that this principle is proven. And in the other case, in the Irving Pulp and Paper, there are new environmental guidelines that are implemented after the mishap in court proceedings. How would the court likely decide? The court would base on the damage caused and the cost of bringing the environment of the location of the mishap back to normal conditions. If there was any person that was dependent on breeding fish in the area, then compensation would be made accordingly, as an example.